Can you come to the US under a visitor visa and then apply for an EB2 NIW green card? Will it be a good idea? Hi, my name is Oscar and I'm a scientist, not a lawyer. In this channel, we talk about green card categories like EB2 NIW where you can self-petition. And that means that you don't need to have a company sponsoring you, you don't even need to hire lawyers, so you can save a little bit of money. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I get asked a lot of times in the comment section. You will see people asking about this. And this is people that want to know if they can come as a tourist, enter the US, and then adjust their status into a green card status. So let's jump to my other screen and let's start discussing this topic. All right. So first of all, like I said at the beginning, I'm not a lawyer. So I will not give you legal advice. I will not talk about personalized cases, specific cases. I'm going to talk in general about what I think personally about doing something like this. Okay? Why? Because, again, you asked a lot about this. Is it possible to adjust status if you are on an B1 or B2 visas? And we're going to see in a second what those visas are. Is it advisable to try that right now? And this video is really relevant now. Okay, maybe 1 year ago the situation was a little bit different, but now we have a certain situation with the visa bulletin. There's more backlog, so we're going to discuss that specific situation. So a few examples of comments that I get. Look, this guy at the beginning, he says, I have a question. My EB2 NIW got approved 2 days ago and I am outside the US. But I have a US visitor visa. Someone told me that rather than waiting for the next steps, I should visit the USA and from there apply for a change of status. Okay, so clear example. That's the problem statement for this video today. Another one talks about, is it possible to travel to the US on B1, B2 visa as a tourist once I submit the petition and apply for EB1A or O1, or do I need to stay in my home country and do the process from abroad? This person is not asking about NIW specifically, so the answer may be a little bit different, but still we're going to cover some of that today as well. And the third example, there's more, okay, but I give you three. Suppose that the visa is current for EB2 NIW and coming as B1, B2 visa, and then applying for EB2 NIW with premium processing. Can I adjust status? Again, the same kind of question, only that this person is asking, suppose that the visa bulletin is current, which we can suppose it, but that's not the reality, and I don't think it's going to be the reality, unfortunately, for a while. So what is the B1, B2 visa? We call that the visitor visa in general. It's a non-immigrant visa, or better say, it's two visas. There's the B1 and there's the B2. A lot of times, it's granted as a combination. So that's why we say B1/B2. But B1 is the business visa. That's for people that work somewhere else, not in the US, and wants to come to the US to meet with people that are their associates, to attend professional meetings from their societies, from their, whatever scientific type of convention or whatever. They want to settle and stay, they want to negotiate contracts, but they are not in the US doing paid work, if you want to call it like that. They are not going to the US to give services to someone and getting money in return for those services. That's an important distinction, because in a B1 visa, B1, B2 visa, you cannot work in any way. The only work that is allowed is what is listed here: meetings, professional conferences, scientific conference, that kind of stuff. Tourism, B2. Well, for many countries, we don't use that. For example, if you're European, typically you got what is called an ESTA, which is a visa waiver that allows you to travel for 3 months. But other countries, they don't have that option because the US doesn't have that agreement. So they use a tourism visa, a B2 visa. That allows you to go for tourism, to visit the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone and New York City, wherever you want, vacation, visit friends if you have a friend in the US, or you have your son studying there. If you want to seek medical treatment, if you want to participate in social events, any kind of stuff like that, okay? So I think it's pretty clear. And all this information is from this website that I'm going to leave in the comment section below, so you can go and check all the details if you are interested in this visa. This is just an introduction. But there are certain things that you cannot do, like pretty much everything that is not listed in those two boxes. If it's not listed there, generally you should assume that it's not allowed. You cannot go and study. For that you need an F visa or a J visa. You cannot work. For that you need something like an H visa or an O visa, L visa, whatever it is. Paid performances, even if you work, for example, in France and you're going to give a lecture in the US, you cannot charge for that lecture. You can only give a lecture if you are going to a scientific conference and you're participating in that in a free way, right? Even crew members from airlines, there's a lot of stuff that you cannot do. You cannot, of course, reside in the United States. You cannot permanently settle in the United States. So it's a non-immigrant visa. That means that you cannot show intent to stay in the US. It is also a non-dual intent. So theoretically, you cannot seek to adjust status. We're going to talk that in a second, okay? Because as usual, there's things are not that straightforward. But before we get into that, my minute of advertisement. If you are serious about EB2 NIW, go to eb2niw.info. In that website, you will find a lot of resources, a lot of free posts talking about the category. A lot of stuff that I have here in video is written there, so you can read it at your own pace. But especially if you are very serious about it, check out the online course. In the online course, you're going to find a lot of modules. They are listed right in front of you. In each module, there's many lectures, video lectures. They are in English and in Spanish. We now even have monthly live sessions where I go on live and I talk with you and I respond to your questions. Okay, that's an added bonus now. But throughout the month, you can send questions in each of the lecture, written questions that I will answer. I give priority to course members, of course. Now, that being said, go check it out, decide for yourself. But I think that if you are serious, you go on the course, download my petition, which is included, and start working towards your EB2 NIW. If you are interested in EB1, I have a similar thing in eb1greencard.info as well. With that being said, sorry for the break. We continue and talking about B1, B2 visa. So the question is, can you adjust status from a B1 or B2 visa? So even though it doesn't have dual intent, like all the non-immigrant visas, including F, J, any type of visa, as long as you have a status, technically you can adjust your status into something else, into another visa, or the topic of today is into an EB2 NIW permanent resident status. And this is not Oscar just inventing things, and making up stuff. This is a screenshot from this website from the Department of State for B1, B2 visa. And they literally say, if your plans change while in the US, for example, you marry a US citizen or receive an offer of employment, you may be able to request a change in your non-immigrant status to another category through US Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. While you are in the US, receiving a change of status from USCIS does not require you to apply for a new visa. However, once you depart the US, you must apply for a new visa at a US embassy or consulate. So, yes, you can do this change of status, but now we're going to see why it's not a great idea. So, is it a good idea? Right now, and I'm talking about now, okay? End of 2023. In short, my opinion is no, it's not a good idea. It's very, very risky to do this right now. Almost impossible, I would say. Why? Because B1, B2 visas, they have a maximum period of stay that is dictated by the consulate. When you go to the consulate in your country to apply for it, they will tell you, okay, you have a visa for, imagine, 3 years, but the maximum period of stay each time you go into the US is going to be 1 month or 3 months or maximum 6 months, okay? Generally, no more than 6 months, because that would be considered permanent residency, okay? So why is it not a good idea? Because even though in the past it may have been viable to do this, now you're seeing that at most you will have 6 months in the US. So what is in your way if you're doing this? The visa bulletin. Right now, the visa bulletin is showing 1.5 year wait time to get an EB2 green card. EB2 includes EB2 NIW. That is for what is called ROW, rest of world. So China and India, even worse. But if you are from anywhere else other than China and India, count with 1.5 years since you submit your I-140, okay? So maybe, depending on the month, you will be able to file adjustment of status a little bit earlier than that. Like, for example, right now, at the beginning of the fiscal year, generally you can do it a little bit earlier. But, even so, when you are able to do that, you will be out of status, okay? Because remember, the B1, B2 visa, at most you will get 6 months. 6 months are nearly not enough, even if you do premium processing, not nearly enough to go through that visa bulletin period of time that you need to wait for. And here I give you a hypothetical scenario. You arrive in the US, let's say this month, December 2023. You submit an I-140 in January with premium processing. You pay $2,500 to speed it up. So you receive an approval in February. Okay, 2 months have passed, right? Since the beginning. Your B1, B2 visa runs out in June. Imagine that you are in the best situation where they give you 6 months of period of stay. The visa bulletin at that point in June will most likely, if the situation is today's situation, will not be current for you. So at that point, you will be out of status because you ran out of visa. What happens if you are out of status? Obviously, if you are out of status, you cannot adjust your status because you don't have one. So now you are in deep trouble, because if you accrue days of unlawful US stay, you will not be able to, in the future, get a visa or an immigrant visa like a green card. So you are not only ruining your I-140 process that you have started, but you're also ruining your future chances of getting into the United States, including your B1, B2 visa, okay? So that's why I don't think this is a great idea. Even if you tell me, well, but I can request an extension of my B1, B2 visa. That is true. You can request an extension beyond the initial time that they granted you, but it is not under your control. It's up to them, to USCIS, to approve it. You will have to submit Form I-539, pay money, and then wait for a response. And it's not just one form. You need to submit the form, and you need to submit a written explanation as to why you need that extension, with proof, with some substantive evidence that, if you were on a business trip, that something happened, that professionally you need to stay there. With tourism, I don't know what kind of explanation you can give. Like, I want to visit more national parks, but it's not going to cut it, most likely. So that's why, even though I'm laughing, it's a serious thing. I don't think they will accept anything in that extension process, okay? So you are, even if they granted it, you are likely to even so be short of time to adjust status, okay? So you're going to get in trouble. So this is why I think if you are considering that route, I invite you to think it over and consult a lawyer. This is my one of my favorite scenarios to tell you, even though I'm all for do-it-yourself and not using lawyer to apply for a green card, if you want to do something complicated like this that has a lot of risk, consult a lawyer, ask the lawyer, is this a good idea, before you do it, before you are in the US, okay? Don't initiate that trip, don't initiate your I-140, don't get into trouble. Pay a lawyer. It's okay, pay it. They are the professionals. And ask, okay, I saw this video from Oscar. What do you think? is he right? Is this too risky? Or is there any viable path for me to do this? Okay. So this is the time to trust professionals. That's why they studied for many, many years, right? So with that being said, the situation may change in the future. The situation is different for EB1, but still, I will not invite people to do this. This is still risky, even if the visa bulletin is current, because the visa bulletin can change at any time. We saw that last year for EB2. In December, suddenly the backlog started, and now it's been 1 year and it's like a snowball. It's getting a little bit worse. Okay, so EB1 maybe is a matter of how risk you want to take, but EB2 NIW right now, to me, it doesn't make any sense. Not immigration advice, not legal advice. Seek immigration advice. If you need it, hire a lawyer. And this is all from me for today. I hope this video is useful to many, to open your eyes, to see what are your options, and good luck, as usual, in your EB1A or EB2 NIW green card processes. Thank you.